I've gotten a number of questions recently about the creative use of arpeggios so you can come up with some musical results. Let's take a look at some tips and tricks. If we have a basic synthesizer sound loaded up like this, we could often make it more interesting musically through the use of arpeggios. For MIDI or instrument track, we could go to your MIDI inserts and we could load up one of our plugins such as an Arpache 5. I'll activate the plugin and we'll open it up, and we can see that now our step size and length will be set to 16th notes. So as I play, it will now do an arpeggiation. And that will be synchronized to the tempo. So if I slow the tempo down, it will automatically follow tempo changes, etc. Now we could get some more interesting results by changing the step size and length. So the step size is a rhythmic interval. So let's say I want this to be 8th notes, but I want the length to be quarter notes. Or if I wanted the step size to be 16th notes, but the length to be 32nd notes. Right now, the key range is set to 12. That means that it will arpeggiate within a single octave, so 12 semitones. But if I want it to be 2 octaves, I can set that to 24. The MIDI through setting at the bottom will allow you to have not only the arpeggiation sound, but the chord as you play it. The direction of the arpeggio can be changed here in the play order. So we can see this little icon where it goes up and down. But if I wanted that to invert, to go down, then up only, down only, random. Or you could create a user pattern where 1 will be the lowest note in a chord, 2 the second lowest note in a chord, 3 the next note in pitch, and you could just visually make your own orders like this. Now, many people don't realize that the arpeggiation can also be carried over for velocity as well. So if I wanted to look at just the arpeggiator for the string part, and we can see the keys I'm going to strike here, I will play a chord with a soft velocity. And let's say with a hard velocity. But I could also hit a chord with the soft velocity. And then release, let's say, the third of the chord and restrike that note with a higher velocity to create an accent. Restrike it as a lower velocity. So you could create accents within your own arpeggiator and have a real-time MIDI control for that. The other arpeggiator that we have, and let's say for a harp part, will be the Arpache SX. So we could open up the Arpache SX, and this will have a lot of the same controls that we see for note length and step size. And so as we would play back, we would have many of the same controls that we saw in the Arpache 5. Now this will offer some additional controls such as a one-shot mode. So what the one-shot mode will allow you to do is to just trigger the arpeggiator and it will play once and stop and not continue to loop that over and over again. There's also kind of a interesting transpose mode. So I'm going to turn this on and we're going to say go to up. And I want to change my length here to 8th notes. And now what I'm going to do is I set the pitch shift to 12. It's going to do the arpeggiation and repeat it 2 times and then have the second repeat be up an octave. So if I wanted to simulate kind of like a harp glissando. Or if I wanted that to go up, down, down, up. And if I wanted to have the velocity fixed, we could choose to do that, or have the velocity via the input. We could get some other really interesting results. So if we wanted to do something that was kind of a bit atonal, which is where you could hear a lot of harp stuff, we could say, I wanted to have it go up, and I wanted to do 3 repetitions, but have the pitch shift interval be 1 or 1 semitone. So as I play, you could just have it go up chromatically. Now, if we have an existing sequence, let's say something like we have here, we could use that as the basis for the arpeggiator when we go into the sequence mode. So what I'm going to do is to select the part directly from my Cubase project window and just drag it directly here. So now when I play that back, it's going to use that sequence as the basis for the arpeggiation. And we could also have different controls for our play mode. So if I wanted to trigger all the way through, or if I wanted to do trigger continue, I could release in the middle of a phrase, hit the note again, a chord, and it will continue within the arpeggiation. And it will continue that way. Now, many people tend not to use the arpeggiations in different rhythmic intervals simultaneously. So let's say if I wanted to listen to my violin and I wanted this to be eighth notes but going up, and I play a chord. But let's say the oboes, I wanted to have it's a different rhythmic interval, let's say 16th notes. And let's say brass, I wanted to do, I think, let's have a dotted quarter note. Or just quarter notes. And let's say I wanted timpani to be just on whole notes. We'll drag this over. So if I wanted to combine these different elements together, say we're going to have our oboe, violin, brass, and timpani, I can now play one chord and with different rhythmic intervals for each arpeggiator. And you could have very interesting results. Now, the actual plugins themselves have a unique recording mode. So within the plugin interface itself, I could select this little record enable. So instead of playing back just the normal chords that are played and held, once this icon is activated and I hit record, it will now actually generate the arpeggio and record the arpeggio. And you can now just have your sequence automatically created based on the use of the arpeggio plugins. As you can see, it's incredibly easy to get creative and musical results using the arpeggios in Cubase. If you have found this video helpful, please feel free to like the video and to subscribe to the channel.